Hey guys, it's John. I hope you're super pumped. I'm like, oh my gosh, so excited. I remember we were talking about that homework last week for like blockchain class, which was like, so cool. I just finished like probably the first like 2/3 of it, first half of 2/3 of it. After like, oh my god, so much work. But there's this really critical lesson I learned from it that I think is like so important, especially if you start to get into investing, start to get into really growing any kind of asset. Like everything kind of comes down to this one concept, and it's a concept that's tough to sort of embrace at first, but once you understand it, like it's a total game changer, and it's super cool. So I'm just so pumped to talk about it. Cannot wait to share it with you, and I'll see you after the intro. Bye.
So the big question is this: how do investors like us, who don't have a PhD in finance or millions to start investing, how do we grow our bank accounts to build real savings and retirements, and yet still have the time to do what we really love? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answer.
Awesome. Okay, so excited. So basically the story behind like which has happened, which is so exciting, is like I've like never written academic papers before, and I don't know anybody that's written an academic paper before. Basically, like there's this thing called LaTeX, and it's spelled like latex, and it's like so weird. I've never heard of it before. I just like learned the entire thing in like 3 days, and it's like kind of like coding, except instead of using code, you use what's called like a markup language, and instead of coding a program, like you're writing in markup language, which kind of looks like code, to create a document that kind of outputs itself like a Microsoft Word document or a PDF document. So basically it's like using a really complicated form of like Word, where instead of typing in letters, you type in like this script that turns into code, that turns into markup language, that turns into like a PDF or whatever. And it's really useful, even though it's super complicated, if you're writing things that have like tons of math in them, because it makes it like a bajillion times easier to write like really complicated math things, or it makes it a bajillion times easier to link pages together. If you're writing, like I remember in 9 to Noon, I had tons of places where, because I wrote it, I didn't know about this stuff back then, so I wrote it in Word and in Google Docs, and every single time I like made any of the final edits on the paper, I had to like, or on the, on the book, I had to go and like change all the page numbers for like all the references where I said like this is on page blah blah blah, or this is on page blah blah, like to change everything. And so what you can do with this magic of LaTeX is you can kind of put like these linked locations where it's like it goes right to that page, and you can write it in the code and it becomes a number when it compiles. Anyway, those are kind of like the two main reasons. Mostly it's for math. And so to kind of give you an example of like why people would use this, like 3 of the textbooks I'm studying right now, like all of the textbook was written in this markup language in LaTeX, and it's what most, like it's what Bitcoin, it's what the white paper was written in. And you can kind of see the style once you see it for the first time. You'll sort of instantly understand it. It's what basically every cryptocurrency's white paper is written in, and it's just this very standard uniform look that allows you to use a lot of really technical like symbols and characters and modifications like a bajillion times easier than if you're trying to do everything in Word and then put like kappa, alpha. It's just a lot easier. And so anyway, I finished like half this homework, which is entirely in LaTeX, and like it looks like so professional. Like I'm so proud of it. Like it makes me so happy. Like, oh my gosh, it's awesome. And I'm like showing it to my dad. I'm like, oh my gosh, check out how cool this is. Look at this. And he's like, wow, dude, that's dope. Because it looks like, oh my god, like you write anything in LaTeX and it looks like you're an insane professional. Like you could write your ABCs and you look like a PhD student. And like the cool thing is, like it's just this huge payoff, and it feels absolutely phenomenal. But the thing is, most of what you want to achieve, or most of what you want to accomplish in life, like the best feelings you're going to get, the best payoffs, the best emotions are going to come when you put in the most work and when you actually care about the output. So when I first got started investing, like if my first investment, which by the way did like it flopped. You guys remember, I think one of my first investments, it was AMD and Nvidia and a couple of like chip companies and some tech companies, because that was kind of what I knew at the time. And I remember I bought Nvidia, and I bought the stock like $101, and it was in this downward wedge, but at the time I didn't know what downward wedges were. And so, I'm going to school one day, and it's about 2 months after I bought this stock with my broker, and my dad's been managing the broker for me because I didn't know about like UGMA accounts or UTMA accounts to let you open an account as a minor. And so because I didn't know about UGMA or UTMA accounts, which holy crap, if you don't know about those, you gotta read 9 to Noon. But basically they let you do it as a kid. So I get in this stock, and I'm constantly watching this. And you guys will probably like go through this process once you get into your first investments, or once you've had your first investments. Like everyone I talk to always says they cannot get their eyes off of the Yahoo Finance app once they buy their first stock, which was totally the same thing for me. Now I would constantly check Nvidia. And what happened was like they were about to report earnings for like, I think it was like Q3 20 I don't remember, is it 2016 20 I think it's 2016, maybe 2017. And there were all these people on the news that were like just screaming about how Nvidia's gonna crash. It's gonna be the worst thing ever. The world's gonna end. Everyone's gonna die. Nvidia's not gonna report well, because they had been going up. I mean, they started the year like $30 and they were at like $90, $100. So everyone was freaking out. And at the time, like, I didn't really know, like, news is really bad. I probably shouldn't, like, listen to the news. And so I listened to what everyone would say. It was like, oh my gosh, I've got to get out before they crash. Because at the same time, I didn't know, like, downward wedges. You guys know, at least if you've gone through, like, the courses or the book or anything, you guys know that like downward wedges are like really great, and they like the stock go up a whole bunch. But like I totally forgot, like I didn't know that. I was looking at information, and the information I read told me that downward wedges were bad and it was gonna go down. And so I combined that with the news, and I was like, oh crap, something awful is gonna happen. I don't know what to do. And so I remember I have my phone, and it's like earnings day. They report after market, and I get out of the car to go to school that day and leave my phone in the car, and I make one of the craziest decisions I'd ever made in my life. And I turn around, I walk, the car's like, my mom's like leaving, she's gone, and like running back to the car, like slamming on the trunk, saying, please stop. She stops the car, like running to the back of the car. And then I get my phone out of the back of the car, and I pull it up, and then I spend like basically the next 5 hours, at school or whatever. But like all I do is just like look at the news company, and everyone's saying they're gonna sell. And I'm like, crap, they're gonna sell. So I call my broker at lunch, and I'm like, dude, we gotta get out of Nvidia. We make like a 5% gain on it or something, really small. And then I go home that day, and what happened, right? They reported earnings. They instantly went up 20%. Within the next like 4 days, they went up like 50%. And within the next couple of months, I think it was like 5 months, they like literally tripled. And for me, like that was devastating. Like I was on the ground crying. I was so sad. I was so upset. Like, oh my gosh, this is awful. But that was the moment when I got hooked. See, same thing with what I'm learning right now with like this blockchain tech, with LaTeX, and with all this cryptographic programming and hashing and algorithms and encoding, decoding, encryption schemes, hashing algos. Like at first it's like insanely hard, and I'm literally like sitting there like, dude, what is this? I can't even read this. It looks like Chinese. And like this is one of the most difficult things I've ever done. Same thing with investing in assets. Like the first investment I made, I was like, holy crap, I didn't lose money, but I'm devastated. It's one of the most difficult things I've ever done. And what I found is that like if something comes extraordinarily easy to you at the beginning, like very often it just kind of fades away. And I remember, I have some friends, and they're like, I teach a lot of people how to invest, right? And so I see like a really wide spectrum of investors. And, I remember there's some students, and like they bet like 10 grand on options on their first like investment ever. And then they make like 70% in 2 days. And I'm like, holy crap, that's awesome. But dude, you just risked your whole portfolio. And they're like, yeah, don't worry about it. And then they make that trade 3 times, 4 times, and they lose like 60% of their portfolio. And I'm like, dude, you gotta like chill out. What are you doing? Because a lot of people like, and I remember I saw this a lot when Bitcoin, when cryptocurrencies were like exploding. You had a lot of people that made a lot of money very, very quickly that had no clue what they were doing, but they got super lucky because everyone got really lucky. I mean, it was a phenomenal market. The market literally went up by a factor of like 10, 15, 20 in half a year. I mean, it's hard to lose money in that market. So you had a lot of people that were like super cocky, literally becoming millionaires, and yet within a year after, everything had faded away, everything had disappeared, everything was gone. And I got hit pretty damn hard with it too. But the people that stay afterwards, the people that continue to make the investments, the people that have a long-lasting portfolio are not the ones that make quick, easy money. It's so people that went through the struggle to get to that end point where they're a successful investor, a successful, like, name anything that you want. Like if, something comes really easy to me, like math's always kind of been like really, really easy to me. And so I always kind of took it for granted. And I never really like focused on it. It was just kind of like, you just do it. And I get to college math, and I'm like, crap, wait, how do you do this? This is hard, man. Because I never really cared about it. Because I never really focused on it. Because when I was starting off, I took it for granted because, why? Because it came easy to me. And like a lot of times the things that come easy to you, like they will like accidentally become something that you overlook and that you don't put your attention on, that you don't try to get better at. And that's really the key difference here, is that the people that think things are easy, sometimes they stop trying to get better. They stop trying to grow. And because of that, they fall behind. They lag behind. And especially in financial markets, you can lose a lot of money if you don't keep progressing. But when you find something difficult but worthwhile, like for me, like cryptocurrency and blockchain tech, like it's one of those, like it's the most worthwhile thing on the planet. Like there's nothing else I'd rather do. And so for me, like there's no question I'll put as much work as I need into it. But you know, if you're taking this mentality of starting off with investing, be like, oh, I don't really care about my investments, I'll just lose my entire portfolio, who cares? And then it comes super easy to you, like you're not going to try to get better. But if it comes hard at the beginning, which, you know, it doesn't have to be like losing all your money. Like I said, when I started, I didn't, like, you know, you don't lose anything, but like I missed out on like a 300% gain. And so for me, I mean, that was over time. But for me, like it wasn't like losing. It was just like having that wake up punch that says, like, you know, you've got a lot to learn here. You've got a lot to grow and a lot to do, and it's going to be hard work. And that hard work makes the end result worth so much more. You'll value the end result so much more than if it comes like insanely easily. And I think there's one really great way to finish this out, and I think that's what I'll leave you with today. I remember, you know, like I love helping people with personal finance and investing. There's like literally nothing I'd rather do. It just makes me so happy. Well, that and trade, like, I mean, trade, asset management, whatever. And so like if I meet like some friends or something, and like most of my friends, like I'm not just like, you know, on the first day like, hey guys, national best-selling author, trade stocks all day, it's the best thing ever, you guys have got to come over here and trade stocks, it's the coolest thing ever. Like if they ask me what I love to do, like I'm gonna be like, dude, stocks are amazing. But it's not like I'm just like, you know, you don't just start with that. Like I like to build like quality relationships with people first. And so, you know, I had this one friend anyway that I'd met sort of like a couple weeks ago, and we we're in this computing class, and we're like doing all this work together, and he's like, dude, what do you like to do? And I'm like, oh, dude, stock's the coolest thing on the planet. And he's like, no way. I'm like, yeah, dude. And we're talking, and you know, eventually we get to my book, and he's like, holy crap, you're an actual best-selling author. Like, what? And I'm like, yeah, dude. And there's sort of this shift between, there's two types of information that you can give out, right? There's free information, like with my course at like johnfwooten4.com. Like I give that course out for free, and literally I have kids that go through that course, they make like 5-6 figures. It's freaking awesome, and it's so rewarding. But there's also like thousands of people that go through that course that don't do that. And why? Here's why, right? There's two kinds of information. You have the paid information, you have the free information. And the thing is, like, when people like put up their money, they put up their, like, it doesn't have to be a lot of money, but it has to be something to make them committed. It has to be something that makes them go through a little bit of pain, just a little bit of pain. Because when you go through that little bit of pain at the beginning, what's it do? It makes you commit. It makes you like stick on that path, and it makes you say, look, I am going to do this. Like when I started investing, I had that little bit of pain of missing out on that really huge investment. It wasn't like a huge loss, but it was just a little bit of pain. And that little bit of pain is really powerful. And so here's a sort of the difference, right? So like I give my book away for free. All I ask is that people cover shipping, and I literally lose money shipping the book, which is kind of crazy. But you know, I know that it just adds so much value to people's lives, and it's totally worth it, and it's the coolest thing ever. And so I go to this guy, and he's like, hey, you know, that's so cool, you have a book. And I'm like, yeah, it's the coolest thing ever. I happen to have a book in my a copy in my bag. I was bringing it because one of my professors, he bought one from me, and so I was going to give it to him that day, and I had to go back after that and whatever. And so I'm like, oh yeah, dude, here, you know, I got this copy in my bag. You know, why don't you read it? And he's like, oh, no way, that's so cool, thanks. And I'm like, yeah, you bet, dude, 100%. And I just give him the book, and he walks away. And what's interesting is, you know, I've given away, like, you know, some copies of my book for sure, to friends and stuff. But like every time I do, there's always, I notice a really big difference between the people that actually like learn about what I do on their own, and then like independently go out and buy the book. And there's a difference between those people, and there's a difference between the people that I just give it to for free, that I'm like, oh, you're my friend, you're the coolest person ever, I should give you this book. And it's going to change your life, because it will freaking change your life. You apply it, like, it's literally a game changer. And I have no doubt in my mind that it will change your life. There's always been a really big difference between the people that buy it and the people that I give it to for free. And not like I mean, like not like free plus shipping, like just like free, like here's a free book. Which is really interesting, because like inherently they're getting the same information, they're getting the same book, and it should matter. But the people that go through the pain, the people that go through the hardship, like pulling out their wallet, pulling out their credit card and buying it, I like literally they're like 10 times more successful. It's not even a compare. Like 10% of the people I give to for free are successful versus 100% of the people that like buy the book that are either successful. It's like it's a night and day difference. Excuse me. And like that difference comes from your commitment to whatever you're doing. It comes from the pain that you're willing to stake up at the beginning, because this idea of like, sunk costs, right? If you like break your leg trying to win the national sprint tournament or trying to win a cross country race or something, like you're going to be a lot more committed to that sport because you put up so much upfront pain to get to where you are at this point. And it's the same thing like with anything that you do in life. If you want to get like really, really extraordinary results, like some of the most successful people I know are also some of the people that have gone into the most debt like ever, because they started businesses and they risked everything that they had to run their company, and they went into like literally like so much debt, so like it's insane. Like the stories, oh my gosh, it's so crazy. And they go through all this pain, all this suffering, all these 20-hour work days. I mean, they get like 4 hours of sleep every single day for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months. They put up all this work, and what's it do? It makes it so their business, like their assets, their investments are impossible to defeat, impossible to fail, because they have total and complete personal commitment to them. So my challenge for you, my mission for you today is to find something you can go all in on, and then like actively seek the difficult things, because the tough things to do are usually the most worthwhile things. And I remember I was starting off with this crypto course, and I was like, oh, it's gonna be super easy, but like, holy crap, it's definitely not super easy. And so it's like I get so much more value out of it now, and I appreciate it so much more, and I like understand it at a much deeper level now, just like I do with assets, because you struggle at the beginning. And so that's the big message. That's the big shift, is the harder it is to start, usually the more rewarding it is to finish. So thank you so much. Hope you had a ton of value out of today's podcast. Go out there, apply it, absolutely crush it, and I will see you in the next episode.
Want more stock market secrets? If so, you'll get your free copy of my best-selling book, 9 to Noon. You get your free copy plus $11,176 of unannounced bonuses. It took me years to uncover, completely for free at 9tanoonsecrets.com. Inside 9 to Noon, you'll find the top 38 secrets you can use to double your portfolio every 2 years and make upwards of 10% daily.